apologise if you hear any wind noise and any racket off the bridge, which is just there. We are a busy junction with industrial estates all around us, so we are looking at roughly where the site of number 1 Foxdenton cow calf used to be. And we're going to have a look at this history of this pub, which dates to around 1838. So let's get crack-a-lacking. So the cow and calf, the early reference to this beer house are listings in the 1838 and 1841 trade dictionaries, which show that John Whitehead and then James Whitehead kept the punch bowl at Foxdenton. As a rule, beer houses are not listed by name in the early dictionaries, so the punch bowl must have had an outward appearance of a fully licensed public house. This partly confirmed in reports of a rates assessment some 30 years later, when it was stated that the property were built for a beer house rather than being just a converted cottage, which was how many beer houses started life. Some mistake about the building status was made by the census enumerator in 1841, who put James Whitehead down as a publican. It was a detached house. Then later it became a street corner beer house when Junction Street was built, roughly in between these two estates, because just behind there would have been Junction Mill, which Junction Street's got its name. The owner at this period was Robert Booth, the licensee of the nearby Radcliffe Arms. When the Chadderton Local Board took over responsibility of the township in 1847, there was a rateable value of the punch bowl and was set at £16, which, comparable to most public houses, is. The census got the status of the punch bowl right and listed James Whitehead as a beer seller. His wife was called Elizabeth, and his eldest son Isaac was a railway labourer, and there was also James, Thomas, John and Williams. By 1860 the punch bowl had been renamed the Cow and Calf. And that year there was a diner at the beer house for miners of the Ferneyfield Colliery, which we went through for the very first time if you watch our Forgotten series of tracing the old canal from this branch of canal up to Ferneyfield Colliery. The local newspaper accounts of the event must have been penned by a fan of Ben Briley and other dialect authors, as the writer called the place Cool and Calf, spelled K-U-A-W-U-N-K-A-U-V-E. Repeat that again because we are on a wackety road here. K-U-A-W-N-K-A-U-V-E. James Whitehead was still in charge in 1861 when the address was given as 1 Hillock. So this area was known as Hillock at one point, when he was then 59 years old, and he had now a wife called Hannah. John was now labouring in an iron foundry. William was a cotton piercer. Just give us a second, Lyda. Was a new member of the family, 6-year-old Benjamin. In 1862, James Whitehead was fined 5/dash for serving a man with beer during the period hours on a Sunday. The details of the case are quite bizarre, and it seemed the man had a cat which was shaped to fit against his body and be undetectable under his waistcoat. How many pints it contained wasn't stated, but maybe the constable heard the beer slushing around as he walked. There was better publicity for the Cow and Calf in August 1863, when it was hosted a annual fishing match, and the man caught the largest fish in the nearby canal, in this canal I imagine. And took the £1 prize was Christopher Goodman, who was probably the same Christopher Goodman who later owned the Dusty Miller at Cow Hill. In 1871, Hannah Whitehead was 66 years old, widow, living at the Cow and Calf with her 3 stepsons, John, a labourer, William, a brick burner, and Benjamin, a carter. Lodging with them was a coal miner called William Atkinson. 10 years later, the sons appeared to have left home, and Hannah was living at the beer house with 18-year-old servant and lodger Edward Metcalf, who worked at the local cotton mill. The address of the Cow and Calf was now 1 Foxdenton Lane. By 1877, Hannah's son John Whitehead had returned home, and they were running the beer house until 1904. In 1891, the census takers again mistook the Cow and Calf for a fairly licensed house, and John was 48 years old, married to Anne, and living with them were Uncle John Fitton and a domestic servant called Jane Holkyard. The following year, the property was bought by the nearby brewery, which is just over there under the bridge, by J.W. Lees. Over the years, the brewery had made some improvements at the Cow and Calf, notably in 1924, when £446 was spent on modernising the plumbing and the living accommodation. But on 2nd of March 1933, the police objected the licence. Inspector Sharp said the house was dark and narrow. It wasn't needed because there was enough other licensed houses nearby. It was the time of the slump in the cotton industry, and the brewery solicitor argued that when the local mills were working, the beer house did well. When the trade generally improved, the business of the Cow and Calf would pick up. And Mr. Pitt from the brewery gave details of the turnover. So it was 273 barrels of beer, 804 dozen bottles of beer and stout in 1928, and 250 barrels and 576 dozen bottles in 1913, and it goes on like that. The magistrate agreed with the police to decide to refer the Cow and Calf to the Compensation Act, and a prison license was granted until compensation was paid, and the beer house closed later the same year. The building remained empty for a long time. It was demolished. It was seen in 1958, but let's show you a picture of it. And gentlemen, this, let's just figure it out. That's the Cow and Calf Inn. And as you can see, the lady in the middle of this image is Clay Haig, who lost the licence in 1933. So that is everything from this beer house on Foxdenton Lane. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like it, subscribe for more content. See you soon on our